I'm all right, thank you. Good afternoon, chaps. Great
Afternoon,
show.
Danny.
Good afternoon to you, Danny. We eagerly await this. Danny, let's get this underway. The outcome of this tomorrow night, does it elevate or depreciate Liverpool's season in terms of the outcome? What's your view?
Well, it elevates the season, of course. If they win it, it puts them on a par with some of the great teams in the past that have won trebles. I think it was '83, wasn't it, when they won the league and the Champions League and the League Cup. So, yeah, it elevates their season. Of course it does, because you're ultimately judged by trophies. I mean, I think if they were to lose it, it would still be a phenomenal season in terms of levels of consistency. But in 10 years, it wouldn't be remembered the same, of course.
I mean, we look forward to it. Remember what happened, of course, when these two met in Kiev, of course, and we heard in the clip we played before that, it was such a night for Karius to forget. I mean, Liverpool have a real desire to go into this and show Real Madrid this time that they're going to come out on top, don't they?
Well, I think they both have determination to win it for lots of different reasons. The thing is, Jim, Liverpool have lost 3 or 4 games this season, 3 I think it is, and Real Madrid have lost more in the Champions League alone than Liverpool have in the whole season. Liverpool's consistency is greater, which makes them the favourites. But you're playing a team that's full of quality and experience. I think for me, one of the major areas of the pitch that's going to be key is if Fabinho's fit and Henderson can line up on the right side of him, then he'll give the support to Trent that he probably needs and does usually get against Vinicius, because Vinicius showed in the City game that he can be a match winner and a real problem. And I think Trent will benefit from having Jordan in his usual position when he can get over and support him, of course. I think we saw in the FA Cup final when Jordan had to play the holding role because of Fabinho missing, that when Keita played to the right of him, who isn't as quick to spot danger and as athletic maybe in his defensive duties as Jordan, I think Trent got isolated a little bit against Pulisic. That's a really key area for me. And just adding to that, and I think obviously Martin will be more aware of this position than me in terms of the centre-half position, I think he'll go with Konate, as he has done in the Champions League, ahead of Matip, mainly because of that covering Trent and the athleticism that Vinicius gives them down the left. Because I've felt for Matip a little bit. I think he's had a tremendous season, but he has been out of favour.
What do you think of that, Martin?
Yeah, I think
Danny's saying Konate probably ahead of Matip. Would you go with it?
Yeah, I think probably right. And also, he's much more of a contact player. He kind of wrestles people a little bit. And I think with Benzema, you need to get touch tight. This fella finds space in the box. His intelligence of movement is absolutely first class. The way that he goes into space, and what they shouldn't fall into the trap of, Liverpool, is trying to overcover the fullback, because when Vinicius is running with the ball, there's a temptation for the central defenders to go and help the fullback a little bit. That needs to be Fabinho, as Danny is saying, and the central defenders need to concentrate on Benzema, because he pulls away, Jim. He pulls off your shoulder. He can drop deep for things. He's very clever, and he can finish off any platform. Do you know? He's not even set. Bang, he hits it. Look at the goals he scored against the Man City, the first goal he scored. No right to score that goal at the Etihad Stadium. So this is one of the best ever players, and somebody in that defence needs to take it personally. They're going to do a job on him, whether that's going to be the captain or the other fella alongside him. The central defenders need to go in and take charge of Benzema, because otherwise he'll destroy you. He is lethal in front of goal.
The one thing Liverpool have got to take heart from as well, Martin, I think, and Simon, is the 2 games that Man City and Chelsea played. Well, 4 games, but in every one of those games, City and Chelsea had a spell in the game where they had Madrid on the rack and they were creating chances and they were opening them up. And I think that's really positive for Liverpool. I actually thought in the best spells Real Madrid had in both of those ties over the 4 games was when Camavinga was on the pitch, and even Rodrigo, when they had a bit more legs and athleticism in the team, especially late in game. It's going to be interesting to see if Camavinga starts, because him coming on the pitch against Man City was very, very important, and it means he would have to leave out probably Kroos.
Do you think he will? I'm not sure he will, though.
I don't think he will, Martin. No, which is great for Liverpool.
His passing gives a real variation, so he'll play the diagonals and then also that run down the middle, and then Modric will be the one that plays just in front of the back too. Casemiro will go deeper, of course, and then they go either side. But he goes and presses, so it just looks like. And then you can bring the young man on, He's brilliant when he came on against City. But the same happened, Danny, against PSG. They were on the canvas in all three of these ties and have come back. They make for a really difficult opponent because they feel that fate tells them that they're going to be Champions League winners.
Yeah.
But Liverpool believe they can do it. So I think we're in for a cracker.
Is it fair to say, Danny, you write off Real Madrid at your peril, though?
Yes, that would be silly. I mean, you're talking about ridiculously experienced players who have wonderful quality and have shown many times, backs against the wall, they don't panic. I think it's going to be a terrific game. I think it'll ebb and flow. But I think if Liverpool can find the tempo they've shown in their best performances this season, very often they show it, and the consistency is amazing. I think if they can play a high tempo and maintain that for a long period, I think they'll get over the line. It'll be a surprise if Klopp doesn't do anything other than play the front three of Diaz, Mane and Salah because of that. I think Mane through the middle recently and Diaz coming in on the left has added an extra dimension to their tenacity off the ball.
Do you think Salah can be the match winner? I'm hearing their players are saying that he's disrespected the Real Madrid badge. And I think there'll be a lot of screaming around him when he gets
because he's been talking about revenge.
Because he preferred to play Real Madrid than play Man City. He felt they were the weaker team. But really, he just wants revenge. He wants to reset the clock. If you remember, he went off, didn't he, very early in that game against Ramos.
Sergio Ramos. Yeah.
Can he win it for Liverpool?
Well, of course, he's shown he's more than capable. I don't think necessarily it's a bad thing that he's come out and said those things, because you know as well as I do, Martin, when you're on the pitch, if you let emotion get the better of you, you start thinking, I'm going to show him and I'm going to get him back, I'm going to do this. You know, I think if any of those Madrid players are too wound up, then it could be a negative for them. I think when they cross the line, it kind of goes out the window. Salah's hardly a provocative character. He tends to just get on with his business. It's going to be a tough battle. There's going to be battles all over the pitch.
I think it'd be feisty, Danny. I watched the game back.
I think Mane's the key, mate. I think Mane the key more than even Salah for me.
The way he presses Courtois. Because he's not
not just that. I mean, I'm talking about his quality with the ball as well. The runs in behind, the skill, the tight footwork. I think he's just on it at the moment. I think he could be the key. But there's so many areas. Oh, look, you brought up Benzema earlier. If Konate and Van Dijk aren't quite at it, he will hurt you. Of course he can, and he's shown that time and time again. But I just hope the game is won, obviously by Liverpool, but by moments of brilliance and great football. I don't want us to be talking about some dark arts after the game or a horrendous refereeing decision. We don't want that.
No, they did get around the referee though, didn't they, when they played City? I mean, I watched it back, and at half-time there were 8 players around the ref, you know, giving him like a score out of 10. They question everything. I mean, there's such a mild manager.
Welfare now.
The manager, Ancelotti, is a really mild manager. But his team isn't. It doesn't reflect the manager.
Just a final one, Danny. Salah himself has been talking about revenge, you know, with what happened to him when he came up against Ramos in the other final in Kiev that we mentioned. You know, that could be a motivating thing. It could also be a distraction. I would have thought come the time, that all goes, doesn't it? All emotion goes. Just get out there and win it.
I think it's his own, it's how he deals with it individually. I think you can sometimes be motivated positively by some things that have happened in the past, or it can go the other way. For the rest of the players, what he's saying is kind of becomes a little bit irrelevant. You've got to focus on your own game, get yourself right, physically right, mentally right. And on these occasions, it's how the big players deal with pressure. Who makes the right decisions in the right moments.
Dan, can I spin on his head? And I know you won't want to look through the eyes of Real Madrid, but how do Real Madrid win this game?
Well, they have to defend very well and cut out the mistakes that we saw so often in terms of giveaways and, you know, giving the in their own fire defensive third. I'm talking about. They have to cut out mistakes. You know, don't give Liverpool an opportunity. Play a bit more pragmatically. I know they'll still try and play football, but they have to mix it up a little bit. They got caught out by City. City squeezed the life out of them at times, as did Chelsea. So they have to cut out the mistakes or they'll get done, I think. And of course, they have to get the ball to Benzema as often as possible. Well, him and Modric. But it's big players, big moments, Simon. It's relying on those big players to grab the game by the scruff of the neck when things aren't going so well. I don't think over the period of the 90, Madrid will have anywhere near the chances Liverpool will have. And I think if you work on percentages, I think Liverpool will win the game because they'll create more chances with their intensity. I don't think Madrid, the way they line up with those midfield three, although they can't match Liverpool's intensity and press. And for all of Benzema's quality, he's certainly not going to be chasing down the two centre-halves for 90 minutes.
Danny, when they press Liverpool, they're best pressers in Europe, aren't they? And Real Madrid, though, they can pass, and they've got to make sure they keep it. Those first 3-4 passes, they can't afford to lose it in the turnovers. And then what they need to do, Liverpool fullbacks are incredible getting forward. They need to hit those spaces early. Vinicius is the keys to win this game. Okay. But then Benzema will be the one that finishes it off. I hope it doesn't happen, because I think that I love watching Jurgen Klopp. I think he's brilliant. That's what the League Managers Association did the other night. He was brilliant again, represented that club fantastically well. So I hope Liverpool can do it. But there's always that fear that Real Madrid can go and win it on the counter-attack.
All right, Danny, come on.
I think Liverpool would have to have a bad day to lose.
Yeah.
Go on, there you go. So what are we talking about? 2-0? 1-0? Anything will do, as long as it's a win.
Anything will do, Jimbo. Anything will do, mate.
Top man, Danny Murphy,
Thanks,
with us
Danny.
on Monday, of course. Danny Murphy looking ahead to the big one. Liverpool against Real Madrid in the Stade de France. And we did that in partnership with Renault Arcana E-Tech Hybrid.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.